God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, be with you and remain with you now and
Hi there everyone, Jack here again at the Vinyl Voyage. Before I begin then, put your hand up if you've ever recorded a full YouTube video and forgot to switch your microphone on. So this is my second attempt at this, and hopefully it goes better than the first time. My mic is definitely on. So today's video is a video about summer sunshine psychedelic pop records. Records that are really easy to get into and perfect for summer. Now the sun is shining outside while I'm making this video, and in Scotland, if it's sunny enough to wear a t-shirt without getting pneumonia, then it's officially summer. So I'm calling summer, and I'm getting into my summer psych. And without further ado then, let's get into it. So I'm just briefly showing this because this is the best summer psychedelic record in my opinion. It's kind of Baroque pop, I suppose, but yeah, nothing beats Forever Changes. Check out Arthur, the late great Arthur Lee, and the rest of the gang. Johnny Eccles with his hat on, and Brian McLean looking pretty proud of himself there. Yeah, full of amazing tracks. I'd imagine most people who are into psych records, if you've been into psychedelia for a while, you'll know this album. It's a stone cold classic. Alone Again Hours are a favourite, of course. Maybe The People would be the Times, or Between Clark and Hilldale is a beauty, as is Bummer of the Summer, as is all of it. Lovely orchestration by Dave Angel as well. And yeah, it just doesn't get any better than that. So you've got to show that. That's my favourite, or certainly one of two favourite summer albums. Coming in hard again then, another classic. Strawberry Alarm Clock with Incense and Peppermints, their debut album. Again, like Forever Changes, from '67. This was recorded in October, just after the Summer of Love. But yeah, the ultimate album, full of just hippie nonsense. Check these guys out. Just amazing artwork. And the album cover is completely representative of the music within. Now, the Strawberry Alarm Clock would be the band that really got me into psychedelic music in a wider sense. Obviously, I'd heard the Beatles and stuff like that, but when I was around 14, I'd been reading the John Densmore book, Riders in the Storm, and John Densmore had been talking about a lot of the Doors contemporaries, like the Strawberry Alarm Clock and the Chocolate Watch Band, Country Joe McDonald and the Fish, Jefferson Aeroplane, and all these other great bands. And unfortunately, the late 80s, early 90s, for a wee guy in the west coast of Scotland, it wasn't easy to come by, you know, this music, especially, you know, pre-internet days. But fortunately, I had a friend who, when I was about 14 that summer, he went to America and he brought back a load of cassettes, and this was one of them. And myself and my friends all got in about this cassette, absolutely loved it. I ended up going and buying a CD compilation after that called Strawberries Mean Love, which was brilliant. Final track on side one. But yeah, this is just an amazing album, full of just like sunshine, bubblegum, psychedelic nonsense, like I've said before, full of great instruments. Everything that could be thrown at that is thrown at it. There's harpsichord, fuzz guitars, organs, loads of different effects. It's just really trippy. You've got Rainy Day Mushroom Pillows, a great song. Birds in My Trees, great as well. All short, poppy songs, bar The World's on Fire. So it opens up with this epic 8-minuter, which is just absolutely fantastic song. Appeared in the movie Psych Out with Jack Nicholson. I think Rainy Day Mushroom Pillows on that as well. But yeah, it's just really, really good stuff. Like I said, really happy to get this copy, because I've been after a copy for ages. So this was released on the Uni label. Cool label there. I said this is pretty much a near mint copy. And yeah, really pleased to pick it up. But yeah, a cool band, the Strawberry Alarm Clock. Obviously the big track on here that everybody knows is the title track, Incense and Peppermints. And that's a song, you know, if ever there's a movie with a 60s scene, or a psychedelic scene, or scene with hippies or whatever, they quite often play Incense and Peppermints. It's quite overplayed. And it was actually originally the B-side. It went to #1, but it was originally the B-side to The Birdman of Alcatraz, which is a song that I actually prefer. That's an absolutely beauty of a song, but DJs preferred Incense and Peppermints. My band actually tried to play Birdman of Alcatraz. It had an absolutely insane, wild keyboard solo. It's such a cool song. But yeah, other interesting thing about Incense and Peppermints, as well, is that the lead vocal wasn't actually delivered by someone in the band. So it was a friend of the band, a guy called Greg Munford, who was in the studio, and he recorded the vocal as a demo, as a kind of guide track, and the band liked it so much they ended up keeping it. But yeah, check this dude here. He's just as cool as you like, isn't he? Yeah, great stuff. So, yep, first up, Sunshine Pop from the Strawberry Alarm Clock, Incense and Peppermints. It's a beautiful US West Coast psychedelia from '67. Now we're going to dreary England, to the late '70s for this next guy. It is Nick Nicely, possibly the best DIY maverick songwriter that you've never heard of. Or maybe you have heard of him. How do I know? How do I know what you've heard? But this is a collection of his work, a compilation called Psychotropia. So yeah, really interesting character, Nick Nicely. This is kind of psychedelic synth pop with Beatles influences. And yeah, he was a big Beatles fan, but he led an interesting life, and he's an interesting character. He was born in Greenland when his parents were coming back from a transatlantic flight. They landed in Greenland, and Nick Nicely was born. And even how he got his name, he was originally called Nicholas Lorien, and towards the end of the '70s, he was getting into a number of different bands. And I think one of his band members had said to him, "Oi, Nick, you sod, give us a cigarette." And another friend said, "If you're going to ask Nick for a cigarette, ask Nick Nicely." And that's supposedly how we got the name Nick Nicely. But yeah, this is basically made up of two early singles, Hilly Fields, which was backed by 49 Cigars, and DCD Dreams, backed with Tree Line. But that second single, Hilly Fields, is an absolute Stone Cold classic. It's kind of described as like how Revolver would have sounded if it had been recorded in the 80s. It was his kind of magnum opus, and I think it almost sent him mad recording that. He recorded it over 6 months, and he was so skint at the time. He had no money for studio time. None of the record labels were really interested by the time that second single. And I think he said that he sold whatever was in his flat that wasn't nailed down just to pay for studio time to record Hilly Fields. And it is really beautiful, dreamy psychedelia with, modern synths, but psychedelic sounding guitars and psychedelic vocals. But the B-side, 49 Cigars, is even more psychedelic. It's got all the backwards guitars and little vocal asides that sound really trippy. And that single, I think, was a big influence on Andy Partridge, and it's believed that that was a kind of influence in terms of Andy Partridge forming his side project, the Dukes of Stratosphere, because it sounds, those songs sound like they could have come off of that Dukes of Stratosphere 25 O'Clock album. But yeah, there's an interesting little quote here from Paul Denoyer on Hilly Fields from the NME in 1982. He said, "It was the best psychedelic record made since the 60s, a beautiful and baffling exercise in DIY weirdness, multi-layered, lovingly crafted, and endlessly complex. The song could come straight off of Magical Mystery Tour, and the shocking thing is that it's every bit as good." And it's such a great track. But yeah, he just didn't seem to get, nothing seemed to stick for him. He got no real success from his two singles, and as a result, towards the end of the '80s, early '90s, he moved into acid house and rave, and I believe he became quite a big deal in those circles. And then within getting into the 2000s, as he started to kind of be recognised by maybe more modern musicians, he's made a bit of a comeback. When he plays live, he wears this veil, this white veil. So he has like quite a mysterious character. Yeah, there's other great songs on here as well. A lot of the other songs are basically home demos or songs that were recorded for the singles. So the song 6B Aubergine was recorded for the DCT Dreams single, and it wasn't used. That's got beautiful cello, very, very Beatles kind of Magical Mystery Tour era cello sounds in there. On the Beach is a little bit more dream pop, really cool as well. But yeah, a kind of mixture of those 80s synth sounds with psychedelic influences, 60s kind of songwriting stylings as well. But excellent stuff. I urge you, go listen to 49 Cigars and Hilly Fields. If you like psych and you want to hear something a bit different, listen to 49 Cigars. Really cool. And like I said, Hilly Fields is fantastic as well, as are a lot of the tracks on here. So there we go, Nick Nicely and Psychotropia. So I spoke about how Nick Nicely influenced Andy Partridge. Well, why not have some Andy Partridge? This is XTC's finest moment, in my opinion, Skylarking. And while I love those Dukes of Stratosphere records, I think this is just polished perfection. Really, really great. Possibly the best neo-psychedelic album, I think, of all time. Certainly the best side one. That side one is absolutely killer. We can look at in a minute. But yeah, XTC for this one were famously paired up with producer Todd Rundgren, and that was like a kind of marriage from hell. Andy Partridge and Todd Rundgren had very, very different opinions and views on how the album should be produced. But I think a lot of that tension is probably how they got the album to where it is. And Todd Rundgren's idea was it was going to be this kind of loose concept album based around a beautiful summer's day. And it really is. You know, it kicks off with Summer's Cauldron, which is beautiful. It's got those crickets chirping in the background, really dreamy and melodic and beautiful harmonies. And then it just lovely the way it kind of just flows into Grass, which is a classic song as well. The Meeting Place is great. That's really Supergirl. It's so poppy and catchy and full again of infectious melodies. And I think 1,000 Umbrellas is maybe the only one that's not quite so upbeat on that first side. The second side's great as well. The Man Who Sailed Around His Soul. But yeah, just such an infectiously beautiful album. Pretty sure this is a UK first press. I picked this up in a charity shop for £5. It was just like so chuffed with finding this, especially for a fiver. But I couldn't wait to have a look at the vinyls, like mint. I couldn't wait to like pore over the lyrics and the notes. And I'd left that charity shop with a couple of records, I think a couple of Damned records, and Skylarking was like the big prize. But it was a really windy, blustery day, and I was walking just about to cross the road to get to my car, and I thought, oh, I can't wait, I'm going to have a look at this. And I pulled out the XTC Skylarking with the other records under my arm, and I held it out to admire it, and a big gust of wind caught it and blew it away, and it tumbled down the road, end over end. And I got a split down the top of it. It was pretty much mint as well. And a few scuffs there. And it went right onto the road, and like a young child who gets captivated by the sound of an ice cream van across a busy road, I just dashed into the road and got the record, and yeah, nearly started crying because it was all destroyed at the top. But hey ho, a life lesson. Your record, your vinyl is not safe until you get it on the turntable, or at least until you get it into the safety of the record room. So yeah, a painful lesson. But yeah, I love it still. It was a miracle that it wasn't more badly damaged, and obviously the vinyl's perfect. So yeah, love this album. Skylarking, XTC, absolute beauty. So far we've kind of looked at older stuff, but newer stuff can be cool in the summer as well. This album is a new album. I think it was released in the States towards the end of March. It was only released in the UK about a week ago. It is Brian Deodario's Till the Morning, one half of the Lemon Twigs. So we've got one twig here. There he is, so this kind of trippy, psychedelic looking cover. But out of all the albums that I'm showing, this is probably the least psychedelic. It is very 60s influenced, but more 60s pop influenced. It is a very summery album. It's a cool album, easy album to get into, but probably not quite as psychedelic. But yeah, really cool nonetheless. That first track, which was the self-titled first track, Till the Morning, was the first single, and that kind of sounds very Kinksy and very kind of Kinks circa Village Green Preservation Society. One Day I'm Coming Home is a really nice song. That sounds a little bit more James Taylor. There is a little bit of a country influence here, I think. Brian D'Addario himself described this as, what was it, Baroque country pop. That's my favourite one. Useless Tears, and that's got the most orchestration of any of the songs on the album. Lots of cool stuff on there. There's a little quartet playing there. But yeah, really cool. Show you we've got the lyrics. And if you look at the lyrics, as much as this is a solo album from Brian D'Addario, you know, his brother, Michael, is all over this. You know, his brother's either providing these kind of Beach Boys-esque harmonies. In terms of the 60s influence, that's still the kind of main kind of touchstone, that Brian Wilson influence. But yeah, he's either in engineering or he's providing drums or bass. Brian D'Addario plays everything on here. He plays vocals, piano, organ, bass, Celeste, backwards Rhodes, acoustic guitars, electric guitars, string treatments, and all the rest of it. So yeah, as much as it's a solo album, it's completely a solo album because his brother's all over it as well. Yeah, really cool. And it's released on the Lemon Twigs new label called Headstack. You can see that little insignia there. So it's probably not as far out as the Lemon Twigs. You know, it's a little bit less psychedelic, a little bit, maybe a little bit more mainstream. But a great record nonetheless. I'll just show you this along with the inner notes. Get this poster with Brian looking suitably kind of trippy there with the purpley grass. You know, this poster, you know, I'm never going to use it. It's going to just sit in the record. You know, I never take them out to look at them. They never ever going to go up in the wall. So kind of pointless having posters and stuff like that. I suppose it's cool to have. But yeah, really, really nice album. A great one for the summer. And yeah, I'm looking forward to delving into this one deeper. Brian D'Addario, Till the Morning. So we're going to finish with another one from '67. This is the Bee Gees with First. It's their third album. It was their first internationally released album. But yeah, if you think of the Bee Gees as guys with big white flares, platform shoes, white toothy grins, and annoyingly catchy disco hits, this is nothing like that at all. You can see from the cover, you know, it is very 1967. Got that trippy cover. You've got them decked out in the fineries of the day, and this is a really brilliant pop psych album with a real Baroque influence. It's a UK first press, though the vinyl looks a little bit beat. It plays brilliant, but there's loads of great songs on here. Turn of the Century's a beauty. Red Chair Fade Away, really, really like as well. New York Mining Disaster, 1941, is a beauty as well. And then it's got the big single, I Can't See Nobody, what am I talking about? It's To Love Somebody. It's been covered from everyone from Nina Simone to lots of other people. But yeah, really cool. It's on Polydor. I'll just show you the label. I said there's a fair few marks on this. Plays really nice. And yeah, the songs are second to none. You know, this is, in terms of like poppy, upbeat, beautifully crafted songs, this would be as good as, you know, this is up there with the Beatles or the Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle. It's really, really nice. Oh, just noticed there, sleeve design by Klaus Voormann, the Beatles contemporaries. Yeah, really good stuff. That's it. If you've not heard this, I'm sure you have. If you're into psych, you'll have heard this. If you haven't though, give New York Mining Disaster 1941 or Turn of the Century a listen there. Great songs. So there we go, the Bee Gees with First. So there we go, a nice little selection of beautifully upbeat, harmonious, sunshine, psychedelic pop for the summer. If you're into psychedelic music, you'll have heard a lot of these. Certainly Forever Changes, the Bee Gees' first, Incense and Peppermint, Skylarking are all really well known. However, if you've not heard them, go and check them out. And if you've not heard Nick Nicely or the new Brian Deodario one, check them out as well. It's all good stuff. So I said before, this is going to be my last psychedelic video for a little while. I want to go and try something else. And I've got something a bit different for next week, something that I've not done before. The psychedelic videos were very, very well received. So thank you so much to everybody who watched those videos. I've got more than a sneaking suspicion that next week's video will see my view count plummet. Probably because, yeah, the nature of the video, the bands aren't very well known, and it's maybe not got a lot of interest for too many people. But hey ho, it's something a bit different, so I'm going to give it a go anyway, and I hope that you tune in. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. In terms of the comments, I always love your recommendations. If you've got anything to recommend, I always check out the recommendations and love to hear what you've got to say about the albums that I've shown as well. Any little anecdotes, or if you enjoyed them or didn't enjoy them, but certainly the recommendations are great. I always love to go and check out something new. So like I said, I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for sticking with it if you've got this far. Check my microphone again. Yep, still working. Hopefully I can get this video finished and I can get outside and enjoy the Scottish sunshine. You know, we're up at about 16, 17 degrees. It's a pretty warm day for us. It's actually a bit warmer than that. I think it's actually over 20. But yeah, like I said, hope you enjoyed it. And until the next time, I'll see you later. Bye for now.